Hello, can I come in?
Sure, come on in.
Hello, Professor K. How are you?
Fine, very good.
So, is it possible for you to have immortal life or eternal life?
Well, believe it or not, there are two kinds of immortality that are actually compatible with the laws of physics. The first is digital immortality. That is, in the near future, all the information that we create can be stored digitally and analyzed. So we can create a carbon copy of you. So in the future, when you go to the library and you want to look up, let's say, Winston Churchill or Albert Einstein, you'll see a holographic image, a three-dimensional image of Winston Churchill, who talks like him, accesses all his memories, his letters, his writings, his speeches, and you can talk to him in just ordinary plain English. And yet, of course, he died a long time ago, but we have lots of data by which we can construct an approximation of his character. I, for example, would love to talk to Einstein. I'd love to sit down and talk to him, even if it's a robot that has access to all his letters, his theories, his videotapes, his radio interviews, all of that stored. And one day we will become immortal too. When we die, all our information turns to dust. But that information can be stored digitally. Your credit card transactions, your emails, your Instagram photographs, all of that is on the web. And in fact, there's even a company in Silicon Valley offering to create a digitized version of you, given your digital signature, your digital fingerprint, which contains a lot of information about what you like to buy, where you like to vacation, what you like to do in your spare time, all of that on the web, which means that one day your great, 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 great grandchildren will have a chance to talk to their famous great, 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 great grandparent, and you'll be immortal. You'll be able to talk to your descendants hundreds, thousands of years from now. That's called digital immortality. But of course, there's also biological immortality. First of all, why do we age? We didn't know the answer to that until fairly recently. But the reason why we age and get old is because of error buildup. Every time our cells reproduce, mistakes occur. These mistakes build up over time because of environmental pollution, radiation, just mistakes, mutations, errors. So as we get older, errors build up in our cells. Cells get sluggish with time and eventually die. Now, of course, the cell has repair mechanisms, but eventually they too begin to break down, and that's why we get old. I'm a physicist. We call this the second law of thermodynamics. The second law of thermodynamics simply says that in a closed system, like a bottle, things rust, decay, fall apart, and die. It's a law of physics. In fact, that's why you die, because of the accumulation of mistakes when cells reproduce. Now, there's a loophole there. There's a loophole in the second law of thermodynamics, which says that everything ages. Stars age, planets age, people age. That's why we die. But there's a loophole in the second law of thermodynamics. Notice that I said that in a closed system, like a bottle, things get old, things decay, things rust, things fall apart. But in an open system, energy can come in from the outside. Now take a look at the Earth. Life on Earth is immortal. But why? Why shouldn't life rust, decay, fall apart? Why is life possible on the Earth? Well, the answer is the sun. The sun gives energy from the outside, thereby defeating the second law of thermodynamics. Energy comes from the outside. Now, how do we become immortal? We might be able to become immortal if we had energy from the outside to reverse the second law of thermodynamics, to repair the mistakes that build up. As cells divide, as cells reproduce, as cells grow, errors build up. But we might be able to reverse the process several ways. First of all, our chromosomes have something on the ends of the chromosome called telomeres. They're sort of like the plastic tip of the end of your shoelace. After many tying and untying of your shoelace, the plastic tip falls off. The thread frays and your shoelace falls apart. That's why you have to throw away your shoelace. Well, that string is a chromosome. The end of the chromosome are called the telomeres. The telomeres get shorter and shorter every time it reproduces. In fact, after 60 reproductions, your skin cells go into senescence, they get old, and they die. In fact, that's why you die. You die because errors build up, telomeres get shorter and shorter until they become so short that your chromosome disintegrates and falls apart. Now, there's something called telomerase, which allows you to stop the clock. Instead of getting shorter and shorter, the telomeres stop. They don't get shorter and shorter anymore. They are immortal. In the laboratory, scientists have been able to make them reproduce thousands of times, not 60. 60 is where your skin cells will eventually die after 60 reproductions. But these cells in the laboratory can reproduce thousands of times. Now, what's the catch? There's always a catch someplace, or else we'd all be immortal. We would all live forever, right? Well, there's a catch. In fact, several catches. One catch is that cancer also uses telomerase. You see, what is cancer? Cancer is a cell that is immortal. That's all. This cell has forgotten how to die. It's a mutant. Normal cells die. They're replaced by other cells. Cancer cells just keep on reproducing forever, and it forms a tumor. And that tumor kills you. That's why you die of cancer. Cancer cells kill you because they are immortal. So in other words, if you use telomerase to stop the clock, stop the biological clock, you got to be very careful because it could become cancerous. But there's other ways to become immortal too. First of all, if you eat 30% less, you live 30% longer.
Mm.
This has been tested in insects, spiders, mice, rats, rabbits, dogs, cats, and now primates, monkeys. You feed them 30% less, they live 30% longer. This is the only method which works. Think of all the advertisement on TV, be younger, live longer, they're all fake. Every single one of those advertisements is fake. Why are they fake? Because these therapies never penetrate the skin. They're lotions. They don't penetrate the skin. But if they don't penetrate the skin, they don't work. Why don't they penetrate the skin? Because then they have to be regulated by the government, and the government would shut them down. That's why you have all these lies, all this misinformation about live longer, be younger, take 10 years off your face, blah, blah, blah. All that's basically fake. And it's because of the second law of thermodynamics. Now, why don't we eat 30% less and live 30% longer? Well, there's a problem. And that is, it is extremely inconvenient to do that. People who go on such a diet complain. They're starving to death. You have to live like a hermit because we're used to eating as much as we want. So I think the reason why we have not yet tested humans is because A, we live too long, and B, we bellyache too much. We don't like the experiment, we sue them. People sue people all the time in America, right? Well, that's a problem.